Okay, I'm going to go into and debunking this whole thing about there's like an element of this whole cancel culture type thing when it comes to comedians. So someone told me once today, and they were saying like, oh, the things that that are wrong today, something like that, were like okay like 20 years ago. But now these things are like you're not allowed to say them anymore, and that's not true. And I'm going to use a bunch of these words, not because I like using them or whatever. They're like these words. It's always been wrong to say these words. It's just that back when like I was in school in like the 90s, um, I think the 90s until 2003, I was in school. They didn't teach people that the words are wrong. Like, you got the Hmong word, you got what was it, Hmong, retard, moron, mongoloid, maybe even div. And these words, they've always been wrong. They've always been immoral. It's just that in society we didn't used to teach that these things were wrong. Like my generation, the millennials, people born in the 1980s, didn't understand this. So that's kind of like one of the lies and the myths that I want to like debunk is that these words have always been wrong. It's just we didn't know it back then. But the second element I want to explain is why people kind of like commit to cancel culture. So it's not a matter of like it being left wingers or whatever. What it's down to, it's it's a psychological effect that I might have identified called overlearning. And what it is, some people that might have, whether they might have OCPD or they have some problems with mental control, they got to a point where they've learned so much about like anti-discrimination and stuff like that. And then because they're so opinionated and they don't have like good mental control, um, when they hear someone spread a little bit of like what they perceive as disinformation or discrimination, they automatically get frustrated and annoyed. And then some people then don't realize, like in comedy, it's a joke where everything is fair game, um, and stuff like that. Um, so like because they don't realize that, and then they are affected by the psychological effect of overlearning, they commit to like canceling people. And I think some of the time as well, some of these people, it's not that they're like die-hard leftist rebels, it's synonymous with left-leaning people. It's more that uh, it's not synonymous with left-leaning people. It's a lot of them, I think, have got like nothing better to do. I think that's an element of it. And they're just trying to like do something to make themselves feel better for themselves, to make them feel as if like they've got like I don't know, like a sense of purpose or whatever. So that's the other path. And so I think I've gone over, these words have always been wrong, and two, why cancel culture happens, and that's why it's because there's psychological effect of overlearning. Like the reason I was able to identify this is because I actually have been diagnosed with OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, and I had problems with mental control. And what it is, because I follow anti-corruption politics, like I basically watch corruption getting exposed in politics, and I and it and like I also watch politics to do with like anti-discrimination and like talking points and discriminatory stuff like that, where I've learned so much about like like extremist propaganda and disinformation that ends up being discriminatory, that when I hear someone like regurgitating a talking point, I can't stand people spreading what I know to be like, or what I perceive to be like lies and disinformation that they've heard online. To the point where, I just I've had to spend less time with my friends and stuff like that because of I can't take, people spreading these talking points, these that they hear online. So that's the reason I was able to identify it as this psychological effect of overlearning. It's like I've learned too much. It's like learning is okay, but sometimes people learn too much, and then they end up like not being able to cope with any sort of like discriminatory language or any sort of like piece of disinformation. That's how I'm able to like diagnose this sort of like psychological this kind of like modern psychological phenomenon. And and I don't read psychology and stuff like that, so I don't know if somebody else has theorized about this or whatever. But as far as I know, I've identified it and discovered it because I don't know, I just follow politics and I just learned this stuff figured it out for myself really. Um, Another element with comedians these days, you have a lot of comedians that because you have these people committing to cancel culture, which is it's not like out of like malicious intent, right? Because they want vengeance and they shut down people. But like when so they get it's like an innocent thing, but they have good intentions. Um, so they have good intentions. Um, but like it still radicalizes some comedians, and then comedians jump on the bandwagon then, and like using words like woke, in their routines, when woke is kind of like inciting hate towards people that have left-leaning or liberal values, where they want to like give people free healthcare and increase the minimum wage, and a lot of it focused on like helping the most vulnerable people in society. Um, But like comedians now are jumping on these talking points, putting them in routines, not knowing that they're normalizing, far whatever wingism, talking points and demonizing type language. So I even call this like a corruption tendency of like a social corruption um, tendency of society, where comedians now are, going on like these like fake centrist shows to basically just, bash and attack like the left and stuff like that because, you know, I don't know, like for some reason there's a lot of comedians like jumping on it. And I don't think it's in a lot of the time it's not intentional. Sometimes it's intentional, right? Some of them do become drifters and jump on like, lying about immigration, not telling you that it's authoritarian and like fascistic type oppression that creates the immigrant problem. And then you have some comedians are jumping on that and they're becoming, bad faith actors and stuff like that. But then other comedians then don't think of it, oh, it's just a joke, or woke's just a joke, and they don't realize it. And like some comedians do it purposely, and then a lot of comedians then are doing it accidentally, not knowing that these are like extremist talking points of whatever side, like, and so those are like different elements that I wanted to debunk of everything that's happening. And do you know the whole thing where, oh, the path into hell is paved with good intentions? Well, what that actually means, this is like an actual like logical thing, is the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Is basically talking about, wishing people well and stuff like that. It's just like wishful thinking. And it's just like when it comes to solving problems, you need action. So it's like intentions aren't good enough. You actually have to put things into action. Is that you have to actually do things to improve society. It's not about, you know, you know, what I thought is just like a propaganda thing about saying like, oh, you shouldn't do good deeds or something like that. But that's not what it's about. It's about, intentions not being good enough. And like giving people thoughts and prayers isn't going to solve problems. You know, if anything, yes, give people hope, maybe through religion, or give people hope or understanding through philosophy. Um, but anyway, yeah. So it's just kind of like it's not about. It's about intentions aren't good enough. You have to put things into action. You have to actually do things to change the world. You can't expect a divine being from the heavens to come down and hold our hands with every single problem we face. I think there's an element that God wants us to have free will. That's why God's absent. and God is not going to come down from the heavens and hold our hands. We've got to learn free will and have responsibility, and we've got to actually do things ourselves to solve, global problems and problems that humanity is facing. And that's the video. Please like and subscribe, or not, whatever you want to do. Okay, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Bye bye now. Yeah, I got to think of a better send off. Bye.